stop what you're doing, because I have 7 June gardening mistakes that can absolutely ruin your garden. No! Music. The first mistake to avoid is the timing of your watering. The problem is that June is the month where even small mistakes can compound into much larger problems. So if you want strong flowers, healthy growth, and a garden that absolutely thrives over the summer period, you must watch my 7 mistakes to avoid in June. You'll be making at least 3, I guarantee it. I don't guarantee it, you're probably fine. Not you though, you're a flipping idiot. Can I still say idiot? Can I still say idiot? The sun in June can be surprisingly hot, and if you incorrectly water your plants, you can increase the stress on your plants as well as your watering costs. The best time of day to water your plants is in the early morning before the heat of the day arrives. This allows your plants time to become fully turgid. This means that the plant cells within are full of water in preparation for evaporation and transpiration during the hottest part of the day. If you water at the end of the day, late evening, then this can encourage the proliferation of slugs to come out and chomp on your plants, as well as increasing the risk of mildew and other fungal infections. So no, don't do that. Mistake number 2 is to fertilize your plants far too little. But also, don't over fertilize your plants, because that can be even worse. June is a period of peak growth for your plants, and those vigorous and flowering varieties are going to be very hungry at this time of year. But beware, because overfeeding your plants can cause invigorated soft growth, which is an absolute magnet for biting pests such as your aphids. And just to let you know, aphids are also a vector for transporting viruses, bacterial, internal fungal infections from one plant to another to another. So it is imperative that you prevent this from happening, or at least control your pests. Underfeeding your plants will cause them to deplete the available nutrients either in the soil or in the compost you have potted them into. This will then cause a shortage in the nutrients that your plant requires in order to produce the green chlorophyll pigment, without which your plant effectively starves itself, because it can no longer produce the sugar it needs for energy from sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. This results in a yellowing of the leaves. It can express itself in various different ways, such as a general yellowing of the lower leaves. It can cause interveinal yellowing. There are other forms, even some browning off at the edges, but whatever it is, it's your sign to make sure you start to adequately feed these plants, supplying the nutrients they actually need. If you are only interested in purchasing one fertilizer, then pick yourself up a general purpose fertilizer such as Phostogen or my personal favorite, Miracle Grow.
Yeah! Woo!
And I still don't get paid for advertising that, despite me doing it quite regularly, and it really is my favourite product. Come on, Scott's Chemicals, get your hands in your pockets and pay me some money. You're not going to, are you? Because I'm going to do it anyway. For prolific flowering and fruiting plants, you may wish to consider using a high potash fertilizer such as a Tomorite. It's not just for tomatoes, or also a seaweed based product like Maxi Crop. Whatever you do, always check the instructions on the packet to make sure you neither overfeed or underfeed. And that is all I have to say about that. Mistake number 3 is to not deadhead those flowering plants. That would encourage more flowering if you do deadhead them. Less flowering if you don't deadhead them, you know what I mean. For many plants, if you remove the flower head, and more importantly the seed head behind it, you will send a message to the plant triggering it to produce more blooms. It doesn't happen with all flowers, but it does happen with many of your popular garden flowers. So of course you would like to know what would be a suitable list of plants that do benefit from additional flowering should you deadhead them. Well, I'll say the name slowly to give an opportunity for the name and the picture to come up. First one is an obvious one. That is going to be your roses. Now, take off the blooms, take off the seed heads, make a nice tidy cut, removing the stalk that connects the plant to either the stem or the cluster of flowers it is in. You can do exactly the same with dahlias. I know they're not in flower yet, but they probably will be by the end of June if you've bought yourself some pot grown specimens. You can do it with your lovely lupins. You won't get such a big flower on that second batch, but you will get another flower. The same is exactly for delphiniums. Beautiful, beautiful plants. Don't forget to support them with stakes. This will also work well for that wide range of bedding geraniums. Just snap the flower, the seed head and the entire stalk back to the plant itself. And also for your cosmos, don't forget, because the plant is going to produce a whole new bunch of energy rich blooms and seeds, you've got to make sure you're getting your feeding right. We only just mentioned it, so you got no excuse. If you find that you are watering far too much for your own good and you want to reduce not only your water use but the price of using so much water, then consider this. Assuming where you are you've had plenty of spring rains and you're about to move into a period of drought like we often do here in the UK, now is the ideal time, probably your last best opportunity, to put down a mulch that will help to retain water within the soil. Choose something such as bark chips, such as a blended farm manure, or even your good old garden compost, and put a nice thick layer about 2 to 3 inches around your borders, around your plants. Don't allow the mulch to touch the stems of the plant because they can thin the bark or the stem, increase the risk of fungal infections. Do this, do it now, and you can save up to 70% of your watering. Don't know where that number come from. I just found it on the internet and immediately believed it and put it in here. I don't know if it's true at all. Hanging baskets, especially moss-lined and porous pots such as your terracotta or reconstituted stone, or worse still, concrete, can quickly dry out during hot weather, especially with warm, drying winds. Your plant leaves can go crispy, which is bad enough, but arguably worse still, the compost within your container or hanging basket can shrink. So when you come to next water it, it just rolls off the side and out the bottom, watering literally nothing. So what can you do about that? Well, if the root ball is solid and will pop out quite happily without damaging any of the established root systems, then you can reline your hanging basket or your pot with a perforated plastic that will help to retain the water better but still allow a certain amount of drainage to go through. What you don't want is just fill it with plastic without perforated holes, because you'll get water logging, which will increase the risk of fungal infection and root death. June is arguably the most dangerous time of year when beginner gardeners start to prune their shrubs. Any spring flowering shrubs that are finishing now and flower on the previous season's wood should be cut now. However, any plants that flowered earlier in the season and flower on previous season's wood should not be cut now. Now, it is a little bit more complicated that, so I will make it easy for you. At the end of this video, I will put a little thumbnail of this video here, which explains it in far more detail. Don't click on that, because that is just a picture. But if you wait till the end, click on it, it will take you right to where you want to go, give you all the information you're ever gonna need. Yes, I know it said May in that thumbnail, but don't worry, all that information is still relevant. I haven't done the one for this month yet, but when I do, I will then replace that one with the June one. It's pretty much all the same information, so you still need to watch it. Back in my comfy chair. Now, mistake number 7 is to do with supporting your tall plants that are prone to being blown over and snapped during June storms. We will get them, we get them every year. Typically, it's just as your peonies start to flower. As soon as that happens, before it rains, ruins them. So we're looking at supporting plants such as your delphiniums. They are particularly prone to snapping, but also your foxgloves, also your lovely lupins, unless you've got those dwarfitis, then maybe not so much. Foxgloves, hollyhocks. Hollyhocks is another good one. Make sure your supports are in now. You should really have done this a month or two ago, because you've got a risk of stabbing your stakes into the root system as they've grown further away from the plant. So do it now, do it in a timely fashion, get it done before those storms start, otherwise you'll ruin your displays. Plants such as your lupins, such as your delphiniums, can produce secondary flowering spikes, but they'll never be as good as the really big ones that they produced first that have now broken because you didn't do your job properly. So there you go, those are my 7 mistakes for you to avoid in June to prevent ruining your summer flowering displays. But of course it doesn't stop there, because now I'm going to ask you lot to put in your mistakes, because depending where you are in the world, these mistakes may be different. You may be being affected by different climatic phenomena that other people will be interested in knowing about, should you put them in there. So thanks for watching. Before I go, there is that video thumbnail that I mentioned about earlier. It could change when it gets updated.